Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's We Don't Use AI the Same Way. The whole point of these sessions is basically going through a bit of a vibe coding example, something that many of you are going to be used to doing on a day-to-day basis. But we're showing it through the use of AI agents. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this is most people nowadays are still very used to being able to use the chatbot interface. So if you're looking at 2025, 2024, way of being able to utilize AI, you go onto your ChatGPT application, you go onto your Anthropic, you have a chat box in the middle, and what you're doing is going, okay, I want an answer to X, Y, and Z, or can you develop this plan? And that was great for that time. That was the extent of AI capabilities. But what you're seeing now is moving into agent capabilities. And essentially, AI agents are AI that has access to tools, capabilities, digital services. They're not only able to give you an answer, they are able to go and create genuinely incredible things. And what I want to do in these sessions is to show you what kind of things that you can utilize and how you can utilize it. So a little bit of an understanding around what we've got in front of us and what you're looking at. What you'll see on your screen is an agent interface that I've built to visualize what an agent's going through. If I was to show you what it looks like on my screen, it would look like this. So this is Claude Code running in my terminal on an application called VS Code. This is essentially a coding platform, a way of being able to create your own services and create your own digital whatever, really, websites, programming, whatever you might want, you could probably do it within VS Code. It's a platform for being able to hold all your code bases together. And what you can see is it's got a chat interface. It has, Anthropic as my agent of choice to be able to work with today. And essentially, I want to be able to show that I'm typing into this the same way that you would work with a chatbot interface. The difference is this agent is connected to a server that sits in my cupboard, and that server is its own computer. It is able to go and access the internet, build tools, create other things. It has all the access that I would have if I was using a computer, which means if I give an AI agent its own computer to work from, it can do some really cool things. And we're going to have a look at what those are today. I am going to be working on a project which is for a buddy of mine called Atif Chowdhury. He is a fantastic speaker around disability rights, disability advocacy, and works for Calling All Mind, a business that he set up, as well as Zaytoon, which exports the only fair trade product from Palestine. So really, really awesome person. He wants to be able to set up a speaker profile online. And I said, what I'll do is I'll utilize this session to be able to come up with more than just a website. I want to be able to come up with some branding. I want to be able to come up with a style guide. I want to be able to come up with a sales and marketing strategy for him, all within the space of this half-an-hour session. So I have developed my prompt that basically tells it everything that I've just told you there, who it's for, what I want to happen, what I want to end up as an output. And we're going to put this in and we're going to see our AI agent start working. So what you'll see here is you've seen that the command has gone through, which is basically me being able to say, this is what we're working on today. This is how I want to be able to go and achieve it. The AI agent is going to be working in the background while I help to go and, explain what's going on, explain how it's working. And also the whole point of these sessions is to answer your questions, your Q&As, anything that you want to understand as we're going along as well. Don't worry if you can't read everything on the screen. Some of the text is quite small. I'm going to be reading through it anyway. But it's just to be able to give you an idea of visualization of how these things are working and what kind of information we're getting back. But I really want to make sure that we're answering through people's questions as we go through. So if anyone has any, then just drop them in the comments. We're live on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and yeah. So if there's anyone who wants to ask something, send it through. What you can see at the moment is our AI agents are spawning off. So our orchestrator agent, which is our little agent in the middle here, this little agent is spawning off the other agents that are essentially completing tasks. So every time you see that orchestrator, essentially it's creating its own AIs to go and complete certain things. So one of the ones that we can see there is doing research on a teeth. Another one is being able to look at what branding might be useful. We've got another one looking at web design. And when you see those little green lines that are coming back to our agents, that's them running scripts on the servers that they're on. So the AI agents are creating a script and they are transferring that information back and forth to the AI agents that are there. So this is just a really good way of being able to visualize how AI agents are actually communicating data and working and operating together. So yeah, it's a really interesting way of being able to visualize what we're looking at here. As I said, if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. I have that little alarm is something that I created for my code, my VS code. So every time something completes, there's a ding there. Works really well for someone who's very ADHD as I am to be able to have that visual thing. But I'm going to turn that off on the thing here. So what I can see on my one at the moment is it's created one that's gone to read Zaytun, calling all minds, looking at all of the business profile from that point of view. Also being able to look at the career timeline. It's been able to look through Atif's LinkedIn profile, look at, I gave it some photos that it could utilize to be able to kind of work with. Another one of our agents here is drafting the marketing strategy. So looking at what kind of speaking things has he spoken about in the past, what kind of things might he be speaking about in the future. And another agent here is being able to create a HTML skeleton. Because of the work that Atif does in accessibility, we've also got a lot of guidance here around making sure that it's an accessible site. So anyone who comes onto it, it doesn't just show his capability within that space, but also gives the ideas of having the features and tools that are really useful there as well. So our AI agent is setting up. What we also have, and I'll quickly swap the pages on our StreamYard here, is as you see things going through, you're going to start seeing things like our demo site. So I'll show you it now so you can see it before anything goes live on it. It's not hugely exciting at this moment in time. But we have a demo link here, and essentially this demo page is going to be the one that we're going to start building the AI agent is going to start building the website from. So that's where you're going to start to see our site come to life. And I always like doing it on the demo pages before publishing it to anything live. We have a question there from Andrew, which is, where are those sister agents running? So they're all running on the same server. They're all running in the same terminal. The AI agents do what we call like an agent swarm, which is essentially where the orchestrator agent, our AI agent in the middle there, starts to create other AI agents to go and get that information. But it all works within the same space. I could have multiple AI agents running on the same system. And also you can utilize multiple servers as well. So actually there's two servers in that cupboard. One that I utilize for being able to kind of build all my things on and operate my business from. But we also have a specific AI server that runs local models and everything as well. So if I wanted to, I could get this AI agent to go and talk to the server and be able to kind of bring the information back from that one as well. So they can work together across anything. So yeah, we're starting to see some of that come to life here. So let's have a look on our platform here. And what we should see in a second is we're going to see an application called Pencil. I'm just going to ask it to open up. All I've done here is ask it to open up an application called Pencil. Pencil is an extension for VS Code. It's not, it can be used as its own application, but it's kind of like Canva for AI agents. And I really like it as a tool. It creates some really good visuals. I utilize it for lead magnets and stuff like that. It's basically a AI native agent tool for Canva. So I've just gone to it. Hey, we need to open this up so we can see a little bit more about that and add it to its list. If I was just to zoom in here as well. I mean, some of the information that you see in here is deliberately vague because I wanted to make sure that I'm not giving away any system information and everything, and I can talk you through exactly what it's saying on here. But yeah, essentially it's working through the different processes of what it's looking at, scaffolding the website, getting it ready to be able to work. So yeah, if anyone else has got any questions, do feel free to add in. So we've got another one from Andrew there. So all of this sits on my local server. Yep, it all sits on a computer that sits in my cupboard, but there's no reason that you can't have this run from your computer as well. I do it that way because I like to have my platform sitting off my main machine. There's a lot it's a lot more powerful than my laptop is. So essentially I get all the power that I want from a high-end spec computer without having to carry around the high-end spec computer with me all of the time. So it's just a useful way of being able to do that. But you could run a server on an old laptop that you've got that you don't utilize anymore. Put it on a cupboard. I've got tutorials on my website if that's something that you're interested in. But essentially, you can turn any old computer into a server to be able to kind of run these things. And sometimes there's a benefit to being able to do that as well. AI agents, they're not perfect by a long shot yet. So if you want to be able to make sure that you know any potential damaging or any potential risk to your system is there, you might want to be able to keep it off your main system. And what programming languages is this built on? So when it comes to AI agents, they can utilize anything. We're going to see, let me leave that on there. So they're utilizing terminal instructions when it's doing bash commands and stuff like that at the moment. But what we're producing today is a website. So it's going to be utilizing HTML, CSS, 3JS in order to create the website. But I would also go, one of the things with AI, if you're not someone who's into the whole world of coding, you don't need to necessarily be. What you need to be able to do is be very good at being able to explain your ideas. Because the whole point of AI is it erodes the technical capability needed to do certain tasks. And that's where you're going to see the advantage is, yes, if you know coding, if you have an understanding around it, that's going to be advantageous. But it's also not a prerequisite to being able to do these things. What we can see is it's opened up Pencil here. Pencil is that Canva application that we were just talking about. So what I'm going to start to see, hopefully, as we come through, is it's starting to produce things into Canvas for things like the style guide and stuff like that. Let me just have a look through to check that it is doing everything that we're looking for. Yeah, great. So it's just about to start going into Canvas to start designing the style guide. Let me give it a bit of a prompt. And what you can see is a lot of this is operating in the background. Like I'm able to talk at the same time as running through these things. It's not necessarily, I don't need to necessarily know everything that's going on at the right time or monitoring it very closely in order to get the outcomes. That's what happens when you design good prompts and good information to begin with, is it should know what it's doing. But we can see a lot of commands that are running there. As it's spawning up the agents to go through all the different stuff. So this is the early part of what's going on. It's not necessarily the most visual part where you start to see everything being built in real time, because essentially it's gathering information, coming up with the copy, doing all of the text bit in the background in order to be able to do that. I said, hey, can we get started in Pencil right now? And our AI agent has been like, actually, I'd rather wait for the agent to have finished coming back with all the information, so it's decent, which is fair enough. You know, you get pushback from your colleagues, you get pushback from your AI agents as well. Yeah, if anyone else has any questions as we're going through, you know, do let us know if this is interesting, if there's other things that you want to know. I'm always looking for examples to be able to put on people's radar as well. So if there's particular things that you're wanting to learn along the way, then fantastic. You know, if there's other things that you want me to demo to try and do in a future vibe coding session, then I'm more than happy to be able to go and test it out so you can see those things as well. Let me quickly change my screen to just be the terminal there so you get a better look on the share screen. There we go. Our terminal session is a bit bigger there now. And I'm going to give it some instructions that I'm like, we want to get going on the pencil bit. Cool. So hopefully we'll let our AI agents carry on spinning up there with our information as we're coming through. But yeah, essentially lots of gathering information, lots of deciding what assets that we've got as well. So looking at images for a teeth, anything like that it might want to be able to incorporate in the website. I always find that when we do these, the first 15 minutes, it's the agents being able to plan everything out. And that's kind of what you want. You want your agents to be going step by step through to be able to start to to essentially look at what you're looking to create. And then obviously you want to be able to get into the visual part. We can see our pencil bit has started working there. So it's coming up with a style guide at the moment. And essentially you'll see it as it's working through, it will just start to go through almost like you're using Canvas. Like if you're used to utilizing any drag and drop interface, this is exactly how it's working within this as well. So we've got some colors coming through, what we can expect. I always get it to do this before designing a website because you want that consistency in design. And I always bring it back to if I've got AI agents working on something, and let's say I want to design a PowerPoint for a TIFF in the future, I can always get it to jump back into the style guide and go, look, this is where we start off. So we make sure we have that consistency. And actually, that's something that I have a lot of conversations about with marketing agencies and stuff like that, is one of their biggest concerns when it comes to anything AI, and even when it comes to stuff outside of AI, it is we want to be able to make sure that our marketing is consistent, our brand voice comes through in the same way, our imagery is the same, we have all of that information there. And this is a great way to be able to do it, because if you give AIs the right information, they will continue to do that over and over again. So we're starting to see a bit of a profile being added up for a TIFF as we start to look to his styles. Once again, if anyone wants to add any questions as we come through, then don't hesitate to let us know. Just going to take a quick drink of tea. Yeah, so essentially our style guide is beginning to look quite good. We can see that it's done things like chosen fonts that we like. It's got colors that are going to match up. Probably a lot of the colors are generated based on the businesses that a TIFF operates. So, making sure that it has some degree of congruency with those businesses as well. And we can see our AI agent spinning up a bunch of different tasks. This is one of the things that I love about this kind of visualization of it as well, is it really gives you the opportunity to see how AI agents are coming up with the answers that they're coming up with. So every time you see those bash commands coming through, we've got read. So when you're seeing something like a read instruction, it's because it's going through the system, it's looking for the information that it needs to be able to find. Anytime we see it sending information back, and you kind of see those lines going back through, it's those AI agents are sending that information back to our orchestrator in the middle, who is essentially our team leader, our team manager. And this is almost like, if you think about an organizational structure, you're essentially talking about a very similar kind of functionality here. You have your team leader is working with a bunch of direct reports, and the direct reports are sending that information through to our team leader to coordinate all of those different efforts. So we can give our agents roles, we can give them different behaviors, we can give them different names, and even create teams of them. One of the things that I did in the last episode was we created an 8-bit office and essentially created AI agents that were interacting with each other within this 8-bit world. So it's just another way of kind of thinking about some of the work. If you look to the future, you're going to find that if you're a team leader, you're going to be looking at both being able to manage people, but also you're going to be managing AI agents as well. Let's see if we've got any more questions. So missed the beginning. What's the setup that you're working with? So for this one, we are working with Claude Code, we're working with VS Code, and we're working with an extension called Pencil, which is doing the design work here. All of that is sitting on a server, which is a Linux server. You don't have to utilize Linux. I just like it for anything server-wise. Utilizing Ubuntu works really well. And essentially, those AI agents have access to that computer. So although you're seeing it on my screen at the moment, my VS Code is connected to that server where they're all operating. You don't have to have a setup that's as complicated as that in any particular way. You could literally download VS Code for free. You could download Claude Code. You could use or Codex or even local language models, and you could be running them on your laptop as well. So it's not necessarily a hard thing to be able to do that. So we can see our style guide coming through. We can see our AI agents getting to work. Let's have a look at what we're being communicated back to by our AI agent here. So at the moment, because they're coming up with a marketing and sales strategy, it's looking through the different copy, doing a bit of research on what works well. Try saying that 3 times faster. for these kind of agents, for these kind of speaking profiles and stuff like that. And also we're beginning to check that the demo URL is working. So I'll have a quick look on that, do a refresh to see if we've got something coming through. We do. Let me share that on our StreamYard link as well. On TikTok, you can probably already see it. And let me share my screen here. So this was the demo link that we were looking at earlier. We can see that we're starting to get our first pass on the website. I would say for a first pass, not necessarily too bad. We might be, there's definitely improvements that I want to be able to make on it. But we're starting to see things start to come in place. So I can always give advice on how to be able to do this. We do have our accessibility toolbar in the corner, which is always a good thing to be able to put straight away onto your site, particularly if you're talking about accessibility. So we can see all of our different contrast modes, if we want to put grayscale on there, anything we want to do to increase text size, everything like that. So a great way to add accessibility into what we're doing. And I'm going to go, cool. I asked it to do it with a Three.js object at the top here, but I actually don't think that that's very accessible. When I'm looking at the dots, how they're floating there and everything with the text in the background, I think it makes it quite hard to read. So I'm going to give some of this feedback back to being able to go through. That stream flow looks very fancy. So you are looking at, let me bring that up for you so you can see it on the bit. 1 second. Share screen. And we want to go back to our stream flow. So this is a free application that I've done some modifications on, basically. I can't remember what the original one was called. But I'll find it and I'll put it into the description and stuff later. So essentially, this is just a visualization of a Claude Code terminal. If we look back at the beginning and the terminal working, if I just kind of ping it across briefly, this is what I'm seeing on my screen. It's that visualization that you're seeing is just a visualization of the terminal. And one of the reasons I do that is from a security point of view, because you want to be able to make sure that if those agents are working, they might be working in private folders or anything like that. So there could be some degrees of it that, sensitive information and things. And the other thing is because actually as a visualization, it's a lot more easy to understand when you start to see it visualized, or at least I'm a much more visual person. So being able to kind of put it into there and be able to describe what's happening feels like a much nicer bet. So I'm going to go. I'll be 1 second while I'm typing this in. My ability to talk and type is non-existent. So I'm just going to give it some extra instructions so we can move on to the next phase around the marketing strategy and the website. Let's see. So at the moment, I'm just giving it some feedback on the website. I don't like the Three.js object. And I'm going to go. So one thing I'm doing in here is obviously I'm typing the commands, but one thing you can do with all of these applications now, and I've built some free ones that are on my GitHub, which you can find at github.com/Netropolitan, is I have what we call terminal talk. And one of the ways that I find a lot easier to be able to interact with AI is saying what I want rather than typing what I want. So I've got normally if I'm not in the middle of a webinar, I'd utilize that because I can use a shortcut key and I can literally describe what I want to be able to have happening. So you don't always have to be able to think about how do I type this out. If you can say it, if you can imagine it, then you can create it. And that's one of the advantages of the AI agent world that we're looking at, is being able to do things like that as well. Great. So we have there on, it looks great. Did something in 3D for my AI agents. I always think, that visualization bit is super useful for understanding what's going on, but also explaining for others. So don't worry if you can't read all the text on it. The whole point is it's just giving you a little bit of a demo of how these things are going together. As I was saying in the last episode, we designed a little 8-bit office. One of the things that I plan on being able to do for the future is I've worked a lot within VR, and we've done things like VR warehouses and stuff like that. I'd love to be able to do a VR office with AI agents for my business to be able to go and talk to them. There's 28 agents that run in the background of my business. So essentially that really helps with doing things like being able to check on every day for what the consultant fees and stuff are looking like for the kind of work that I do, grant opportunities that have come up, speaking opportunities that might have come up. So all of those AI agents, normally they're working at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm asleep to make sure all of these reports are ready for me in the morning. What's the breaking news? What do I need to know? Everything like that. And it's all just done silently in the background. And that's where I think AI has a much greater value, is when it's working in the background, when it's doing things for you quietly. It's not all about it being really loud and creating something fantastic all of the time. It's about just the day-to-day things that normally are a bit mundane, take a lot of effort, take a long Google search in order to kind of get things running. Let's have a look at our terminal and see what we are getting. So yeah, we're getting a few improvements that should be coming through on the website. Let's do a bit of a refresh on the page and see what we start to get. Not been pushed through yet. And also we're going to get in our style guide here, we are starting to get our sales and marketing strategy. Now, a lot of the time, if I don't like the way that something's going with this, you can obviously tell it, but you can also go and change the text size and not stuff on it. I've got my my computer's a little bit in my way here. So I'm going to quickly go and change the text size on this corner. Let's go and find where text is. Got it right hidden behind the screen. Oh, there we go. It's gone and done it anyway. Did it without my help. So that looked like it was me, but it was actually just the AI agent correcting it. One of the things that I've given it instructions with pencil is I do find that that's probably the most frustrating bit, if it has any text overlaps and stuff like that. So you'll see it designs it almost like you would see a human being designing something in Canva, where you might add something and then it has to go and tweak it. So we're starting to see our marketing strategy come up for Atif now. Who might be the kind of audience that he works with? What's the funnel for being able to book him? How does this tie into the website design and everything like that? And we could be doing these, together. We could be doing these separately. I'm trying to show you a lot of things in a short space of time. So then it's not doing it step by step. It's doing multiple things all at once. But let's have a look at how it's getting on with the website and stuff as well. So I'm going to switch my screens on StreamYard so you can see that there. Let's have a look at our website over there. So that is our previous website. Let's refresh our page. That's looking a lot nicer. I still don't like this 3JS object, but I'll have words. I'll have words with the AI agents to see what we can get done. But I'm liking the design a little bit better there. So we can see some placeholder bit. We can see some recommendations. It's a simple site. We've done a lot in a short space of time. If we think about what we've actually completed in this half-an-hour session, we have the first pass of the website, we have our style guide, we have our marketing and sales strategy, all of them being designed in a way that is visible, is ready to work. So is it perfect? No, not yet. It's probably going to take at least another 30 45 minutes worth of work, but it's a good starting point, and hopefully an interesting starting point for anyone who's kind of getting into being able to do this kind of stuff. The whole point of this session is not to be a how-to guide. The whole point of it is to go, let me show you the art of the possible. Let me show you some of the things that can be done when you're looking at AI at the moment. And as I said earlier on in the webinar, if you can imagine it, you can create it. And that's really what some of these AI tools start to give you as we start to work through. So I want to thank you all for being able to join today. If anyone has any questions, want to be able to reach out about similar kind of things, want to be able to learn a little bit more, then do feel free. My handle on every social media is at Jamie Bykov-Brett, spelled Bykovbrett. And obviously I support organizations with these kind of implementations, but also on being able to train up everywhere from, let's get started on Copilot to we want to design an agentic AI system. How do we go about that? So if that's of interest to you and you want to be able to find out a little bit more, then do reach out. There's also a bunch of free resources on my website. If you go to bykov-brett.net/learning, we have resources, videos, guides, tutorials, anything that you might want to be able to utilize to start getting started. So thank you so much for joining today. Have a fantastic rest of your week and look forward to catching you at a future webinar very, very soon. Thank you, everyone.